For the test, the user can view a scheduled activity. I had created an activity, and then I had created residents, both with the scheduled activity class and the resident class, using this testing functionality where you can create values on the fly that would technically be in the database. I was debating whether or not to have the scheduled activity be what went and retrieved the residents from the database via the resident model, implying a kind of relationship, but it's not accurate at this point to say that activities can have many residents, because that's not really what... There's going to be a pivot table that will address that relationship, not assigning residents to activities. That was the wrong reasoning. So I'm just making note, because that is what I was struggling with, was trying to think that I was going to have that kind of relationship between somehow wanting to be clever with that model and having it associated with residents, and that's just not what you need to do. So I've created the activity, created the residents, and then they are in the database, right? The whole goal of this is a user can view a scheduled activity, right? Okay, so that's set. The database is set. That's our arrange phase. This is where it's coming into clearer understanding after a hard-fought battle, or after spinning my wheels for way too long. I am now ready for this act stage, so I'm going to delete these things. So the act stage, we are going ahead and, as if we are going to that route, passing in that ID. And what's happening here is we go to that route here. So passing that ID, it's going to the controller and the show method. And on the show method, this is what we're doing. So our controller is saying, okay, I need, based on the ID that was passed in, I got to go grab the activity. And then, based on the fact that for this view I need all of the residents, because I have to list them so that they can be checked off accordingly as attending, I am going to pass both of those through. And this, I believe, I need to look into this. This is either a Laravel convention, or compact is a PHP convention. PHP compact function. Yeah, it's a PHP function. With the compact function, you can pass through objects as an array, and it will by default reference them as that name to whatever you were passing them to. In our show.blade.php file, within the scheduled activity, that object had the activity in the formatted date, as well as we passed through the resident. So I'm looping through that resident object, or the residence object, looping through each one and grabbing the name. That is what we have generated here and are testing or asserting here. If I run this test, it's green. If I want to see if, because it's matching up the names as well, I've already proven that that works. But if I wanted to change this, change letter to a D, so now we've created a lowest D, and we're expecting to see in the HTML a lowest C. We get that. Lowest D is what is in the HTML, and we are expecting to see lowest C. So finally I get this to work. The approach for me going forward with this question of what to ship to a view, use the controller. The controller can reference models. Don't be clever trying to create a model in a test that does everything. Just in your controller, figure out simply what the minimum requirements are, and load it up. The other cool thing, I'm reading this book, Test-Driven Development by Kent Beck, and Adam Wathan had recommended it a long time ago. What I like about it is it's talking about creating a test to get the implementation as quickly as possible, and it's like you're writing a story. So in line with the storytelling that I'm trying to do via these kinds of videos, my storytelling gets to also, in my mind, be creating applications. Moving on.